General Lee, thanks so much for those remarks.
Thank you.
I'll go a little off. I had some prepared remarks, but I want to say just a couple things. Kind of seeing this in person. As you mentioned, my first visit to Korea was in 1984 when I was a 14-year-old ninth grader, and Korea was a lot different back then. I went to high school in Yongsan. I went to Boy Scout summer camp here in Camp Humphreys in 1985, and then I came back again as a captain in 1997, 96 and stayed until 1999. So I was in the Honor Guard. I commanded the Honor Guard company, and then I also commanded a company in 2ID in the Western corridor up near the Indian River. And then my wife, I was married. My wife was here at that time, and then we came back here in 2020. And so the opportunity I think that's presented to you all this evening to be able to listen to President Wong's comments and remarks and understand what the KDVA is and the importance of our relationship. I've grown an appreciation of Korea over many years, not only with people I met here in Korea, but also Korean officers that I've had the opportunity to serve with over time, to include in the United States. And so for me, I'm old enough to have met a lot of veterans from the Korean War, but that changes over time. Same thing with World War II and other times. And so the opportunity to kind of hear this. How many of you, this is your first time in Korea for the U.S. soldiers? Right? So this is your first exposure. There's a lot outside the gates, and this is just one aspect of that. The importance of our relationship cannot be overstated. It is, for 70 years we've stood again, and technically we're still at war. We're in armistice, right? So there's still a threat to the north. I mean, when I was in high school, it was like you're in artillery range of the North Koreans. At any time they could pull the lanyard and there would be rounds landing in Seoul in like 50 seconds. So it's a very real threat, and that threat still exists, and that's why we're here, right? With our relationship with the Korean government, the Korean people. It's really the Korean people, and it was built out of the bond that was forged with the starting of the Katyusha program, in 1950, when General MacArthur said we need to start this program to bring Katyushas into the U.S. formations. With President Sigmund Rhee at the time, to build, to bring a native Korean speaking capability into U.S. squads and platoons, and to have an innate understanding of the culture and the landscape in order to make our formations more effective in fighting in Korea. And that program has continued for 70 years. And so we have a number of Katyushas here tonight. I still keep in touch with Katyushas that were in my company in 1998. They're on Facebook now, right? So social media, I can keep in contact. And so that program, there are people who come to Korea one time and never come back. There are people that come to Korea and extend over time, and there are people that come to Korea and keep coming back again and again and again because of the relationships that they build. And so, I think what you will learn, you'll get a very small snapshot tonight, is of the relationship that is so critical to the alliance, which is the relationship that you all as junior service members have with your Katyusha counterparts, that you build with people outside the gates. Because while Korean society has changed over the past 70 years, and really changed since like 1991, and in the 2000s with the advent of social media, the bedrock, the foundation of our relationship is still formed in blood and sweat and wartime experience. And so it's changed now, but make no mistake, the threat is still there. That is why we are here. That is why we train, and we have to maintain readiness on the Korean Peninsula, and why the KDVA came into existence in 2017, which was to ensure that, and it was Major General Lee stated, ensure that people don't forget the sacrifices, that they don't forget the importance of the alliance and what it means to not only the people of Korea, but the people around the world. Because this is one of the strongest relationships that has existed and endured over time in the world. So I had some prepared remarks, but I think that's enough. I was this is a very, for me, it's a very moving experience. Again, because I spent so many of my years, I've spent 5.5 years of my life in Korea over time, and I was talking before this event with the distinguished gentleman here, and we've served with many of the same people over time, and it's amazing how small the world is when you get to be an old guy like me. That you can think back and say, yeah, we served with the same people. General Che was a lieutenant in the Honor Guard. Major General Lee was the commander of the Honor Guard. I commanded it maybe a few years after him. But we have similar experiences, and those, as you get older, those continue to build a strong bond that's hard to break. So thanks really to all the U.S. service members for coming tonight. I know maybe it was mandatory fun. You got tasked to come here, and I completely understand that. But hopefully you will walk away from this experience and the presentation and the awesome dinner that we're all going to have tonight. There is a free dinner, I think. Nobody had to pay for that. So there is a free dinner. But hopefully you'll walk away from this experience, this event, and have positive reflections and learn something about our alliance here in the Republic of Korea. So thank you.